Well, awesome, guys. Welcome to Windermere Real Estate Live. This is our very first live show on this kind of new show to bring industry experts both in real estate and outside of our real estate industry, because we can learn from everyone, right? And for the very first show, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I need to bring someone on that'll just you just put them in front of you, and then all we can do is learn like amazing ideas and concepts and like proven practices in real estate, and just kind of like set it and forget it. And I thought, okay, that guy, there's only one guy I know that I can just put him in front of a camera and turn him on, and that's Jim Remley, who is absolute 100% total rock star, ranked.
Oh, where'd he go?
James, you got muted.
Okay, so Jim Remley, who actually started in the real estate industry back when he was 19 years old. He's actually the top 1% realtor nationwide. He was with incredible sales records, shattered his sales records, 1 year selling 150 properties in just 12 months. Today, Jim leads one of the largest real estate firms in the state of Oregon, closing 2,500 transactions and nearly $1 billion in sales volume. He's an amazing guy. He owns a company called Real Estate Coach.
We're not on audio or video.
As well as he's also a top author, and I'll have him explain all that. I'm sorry, I got all confused here with the audio. So Jim, thank you for joining us today.
It is absolutely my pleasure to be with you guys today. Thank you for the kind introduction, James. I appreciate that. James and I have been friends for years, and I'm so excited that he is now with you guys down south. And I know he's going to help you guys grow, and I'm just excited to be here with you guys today.
Yeah. So Jim, you and I talked about some highlights here. And you've got, of course, like I said, I could just put you on the camera, but I'll tell you, Jim was actually, when I originally started working with Jim, he was a little skeptical, like, who's this James guy, right? Like, we went out to breakfast, like, that's fine, because I worked for the corporate office, and Jim owned a couple franchise offices down in Southern Oregon. And it was just this little secret, like in the back of my mind, how do I break this guy? I mean, like, I want to be this guy's. He's almost like, like the frat brother that, I wanted to be a part of his fraternity. I didn't know how to do it. And there was this moment, I don't know if you remember, Jim, but there was this moment, like we were at one of your agent functions. It was a dinner in Portland, and you heard that I actually was a top producing agent. And it was like, oh, so you're not just like this corporate dude, right? Yes, like you actually sold real estate, right? And so it's like instantly you're like, all right, it's all good. You've actually been in the trenches, right? So
that's what I have respect for. I have respect for people that have boots on the ground, that have done the work, and that are now in leadership positions. I'm always skeptical of people that have just been put in leadership that, haven't sold real estate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciated that, and definitely like to be in your fraternity. So Jim, I butchered your bio. So why don't you just give us a quick rehash there from a Cliff Note standpoint, and then I want to kick you off on talking about market share versus mind share.
Sure. I don't want to bore everybody with the backstory, so I'll be super, super fast. As James mentioned, I entered the business at 19. I'm a college dropout. My buddy talked me into going into real estate, and then he didn't follow through and do it, but I followed through and did it. So first a couple years, like everybody, I struggled for a bit, but then I found my feet, and I started taking a lot of listings, and I was a dominant listing agent in my community, taking 150 listings a year and getting ranked in the top 1% of agents nationwide. Opened my first company at 24, grew that to 17 offices, and got lucky and sold that in 06, and then was asked to come down, and I taught for NAR for 10 years, all the designation programs. Then I got asked to come down and run a little company in Southern Oregon, which I did, and we grew that now to 3 offices, and we have 180 agents. We did 2,500 transactions last year. We are over $1 billion now. We closed $1.09 billion last year in a population base, guys, of 80,000. So if thinking about
the price point of how much?
Average price point here is $360,000. So that's a lot of sales, right? That's a lot of grind. And remember, we're doing that with 180 agents. We don't have 1,000 agents. We don't have 2,000 agents. We're doing with 180 agents, creating $1 billion in sales. So our office has one of the highest per agent productivity rates in the country. We are a Real Trends top 500 company, which means we're competing with companies in LA and Atlanta and Chicago and New York, and we're still within one of the top 500 companies in America, all doing that out of 2 little towns in Southern Oregon. And so a lot of times I get asked to do training and events, and that's how I got to started doing coaching. So I have a coaching company. If any of you, like what I have to say today and you want to check it out, it's at erealestatecoach.com. That's E like elephant, erealestatecoach.com. And so we have one of the most affordable coaching platforms in the country there. And what we're doing basically is I'm taking everything I'm using in the trenches with my own agents, and we're putting it into practice in our coaching platform to help agents across the country to raise their game. And today I hope to deliver some of those kinds of ideas that are helping my agents outperform in the market.
Well, Jim, thank you. And yeah, that was definitely Cliff Notes. I mean, we're talking, there's a lot more there to it. But, when you talk about market share versus mind share, I mean, you kind of catch me on mind share because I know how much this business is all about the mind and getting out of our way. But talk to me.
Yeah. So my concept on this is that, agents always coming to me and saying, Jim, how do I move the needle? I get, there's a million gurus and podcasts and books and, there's so much information out there, but very little of it really is worth a hill of beans, really. So my thing is, when I look at agents that are entering the business and even experienced agents, one thing we can all fall into the trap of doing is, looking for an immediate solution to a long-term problem. So we're always kind of in this idea of, I need instant gratification, right? And we're all programmed to do this right now with massive changes we've seen in our society. We're getting more and more programmed to do it. Amazon isn't 24-hour delivery now. It's like 2-hour delivery in some cases, right? My wife and I, this morning, she was ordering groceries on her mobile app and they'll be delivered. And she said, now, when they knock on the door, make sure you go get those groceries. I mean, groceries are being delivered to us. We don't even have to go grocery shopping. Uber Eats. My son is in college. He's finishing his last year of college. I was yelling at him last night because he told me that he ordered Taco Bell from Uber Eats to get delivered to him. That's you talk about instant gratification society that we're in. But how does that relate to real estate? It relates to real estate because a lot of agents have fallen into the same trap of wanting instant gratification when it comes to lead generation. And agents and brokerages and team leaders, for any of you guys who are team leaders that are watching, are often looking for that easy path, basically a contactless, easy, instant gratification way of having leads kind of hand delivered to us and served up to us as buyers and sellers, and we just then go work with the buyer and seller. We want to remove ourselves from the grind and hard work of what it takes to build relationships and prospect and lead generate. And what happens is, when there's a need for that, guess what? Companies swoop in and they fill the need. And the 2 big companies that have done that over the last 10 years, we can all name them by, like this, is Zillow and Realtor.com. So Zillow and Realtor.com have swooped in to fill this gap and say, yeah, guys, we'll deliver leads to you for a what? For a price, right? We'll do that for you. And so these companies have made billions of dollars on the backs of realtors right now. They're kind of like the Uber, so to speak, of real estate, where we're doing all the hard work and they're making a little bit of a fraction, not a little bit, but a lot of money on the fractional cost of just putting you in front of the customer. So this is where I get into this idea of market share versus mind share. And I really want you to think about this, because some team leaders have fallen into this, and agents as well, of trying to fill their buckets with online leads. And I will tell you something, 10 years ago, if you were buying online leads, or 5 years ago when you're buying online leads from Zillow, there was about 5 years ago, there was about 5 to 10 million leads being sold to realtors across the country. Today, and about 5 to 10 million, about 5 million transactions being done. So your odds of closing a transaction from a referred lead from an online source was pretty high. And people actually had a pretty good ROI back then. But that's changed. The lead bomb has gone off. This year, in 2021, the expectation is that 200 million leads will be sold to realtors. 200 million. And we're still going to only close about 6 million transactions, maybe 7 million if we get lucky. So what do you think has happened to that ROI on those leads being sold? That ROI is a negative. It's been studied, Inman News, negative 32%. So that's like you going and buying investment and saying, hey, you go invest $5,000 a month with me, and I'm going to give you a negative 32% return on your money. How many of us are raising our hands saying we're going to do that? A lot of team leaders, a lot of agents are using the experiences they had 3 years ago or 5 years ago as a basis to continue investing in Zillow and Realtor.com. You got to get rid of that mindset and you got to blow it up, because that model is broken. It does not work anymore. And they both know it. And the reason why they both know it is they're both pivoting to a referral-based model. So instead of selling you leads, now they're going to charge you a referral on every closing. That's the new model coming, right? And a lot of you have already experiencing that model. So here's the ultimate question for all of us, in every market, is this. When a client thinks about the words real estate in your market, or even within your sphere of influence, who comes to mind first? Is it you or is it Zillow, right? Is it you or is it Realtor.com? And that's the difference between market share and mind share. If we're chasing market share, what we're going to do is we're just going to buy leads from whoever will give them to us, because we're running a transactional based company. It's notches in a belt. We're like, I'm trying to get to 200 transactions. And we're forgetting that we're losing control of mind share. And pretty soon, guess what? You become the employee of Zillow. You're basically a Zillow Uber driver is what you've become, right? And all of us have got to break our minds about this and say, wait a second, wake up from the fog. What am I going to do to take control and take back, mind share? This is the really, really, really critical aspect. And it's really coming to an inflection point for our industry. Are we going to become glorified Uber drivers? Or are we going to change direction and take control of lead generation again? So that's really where my focus is here, James, is kind of on that mindset. Now, some of you sitting here are saying, Jim, I don't spend money on Zillow. I'm not buying into the Zillow whole thing. I haven't done that. Or I did it and I stopped 2 years ago. Or I did it and I stopped 6 months ago. Or I did it or I stopped yet last month. So I'm not competing with Zillow anymore. Wrong. You're not. You are competing with Zillow, and every agent in every market in America, their number one competitor isn't who you think it is. It's not Remax next down the road. It's not, Keller Williams or an EXP agent that you think is the top guy or gal in the market. Your number one competitor by a mile is Zillow and Realtor.com, Zillow being number one, because that's who people are starting to think about when they hear the words real estate in the market. Now, that other agent down the road may be buying a lead or somehow getting the lead eventually, but that doesn't mean they're winning the war. We have to win the war for mind share, guys. And by the way, just as a side note really quickly, on this topic, some of you have done a really good job over the years of being referral based. And my whole focus in my coaching is helping you to become referral based and really taking control of that. But some agents that have been kind of on a glide path with their sphere of influence for 10 or 15 or 20 years and have done really well with their sphere of influence, congratulations for all of you, but have lately, like in the last year or two, noticed that you're starting to lose control of referrals and you're getting less and less and less referrals, and your sphere of influence is not as loyal to you as they used to be. Why is that? It's because you're losing the war to mind share. It's because these companies are coming in and eroding mind share, and you're then losing market share. So my big message here is we have to control the messaging within the people that we have. So the mind share versus market share kind of thought process that really I think is what we all have to be looking at as an industry.
So who's our competitor?
Who's our competitor? And it is by and large, no question, Zillow. That we are at war with Zillow, and it's an absolute all-out war with Zillow. Because if the crazy thing is, Zillow has kind of boiled us like a frog in a pot, right? We got in and we said, oh, we'll share our data with them in the beginning 10 years ago. We'll just share our data. No harm, no foul. They're going to help us market our listings. And then slowly every year they've been dialing it up and dialing it up and dialing it up. And now they're entering MLS systems as active participants, right? Now they're going to start taking control. And then what we've seen with the iBuyer revolution, we've often thought about this as a buyer issue. Like they're taking my buyers and they're feeding me back buyer referrals or buyer leads. That is all going to be transformed over the next 5 years. It's being transformed everywhere because here's what's happening. They are now getting the iBuyer game, and it's not about them buying houses. Now that's the ads they're pushing, like, hey, push the button to find out what Zillow will offer for your house. But they buy far less than 1% of the houses in any given market they've entered. Like if you look at Arizona or Phoenix, excuse me, where they went in first, they got 20,000 leads like within the first month. They bought less than 200 homes, right? Way less. What's their end game here? Their end game isn't to buy houses. They could care less about buying houses. Their end game is to sell the 19,800 leads, seller leads they just got to who? You as agents, and they're not going to sell them for the 35% referral. That's the starting point. Their end game is to start making us pay 50, 60, 70% to them. Again, Uber drivers of real estate. We have to win the war. And the way you do it is you got to wrap your arms around your sphere of influence and make sure that you own mind share with them and that you are the trusted consultant, the trusted advisor. We can win the war. It's just like you going to a doctor. You always would rather go to your local doctor. You always would. Right. So that's the same thing. We've got to be that trusted advisor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so along those lines, there's that whole like the power of visibility and trust and authenticity and really like the different kind of there's tips and tricks there, right? Like this is a new world. Like visibility today is a little bit different than, you know, the flowers, seeds and the summer squash recipes we sent out, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Summer squash recipes don't get a business, right? So talk to me on visibility, trust, and on authenticity, and just kind of where you're seeing that go right.
Yeah. So first of all, in order to win this war, you have to have a sphere of influence management plan, right? So all of us just can't phone this in anymore. We actually have to take absolute control and act as if we're a Fortune 500 company. So you look at Fortune 500 companies who are running sales departments. What do? They have a CRM strategy. 90% of them are using salesforce.com, and they are running a system with their database of incubation. And that means that they are with them. And the old model, when I got in the industry, was we needed to be, in order to stay top of mind with our database, we needed to be contacting them 9 to 12 times a year. That is so far out the window. Because the average American today sees 5,000 advertising messages every single day. 5,000 messages a day. How do we cut through that communication jungle? We need to be touching our database 20 to 50 times a year, minimum 20 to 50 times a year. So you might say, Jim, how in the world do I contact people 20 to 50 times a year? That doesn't mean I'm making 20 to 50 calls, which everybody would hate, right? It's a contract matrix. So this is a mix of calls, texts. It's a mix of bulk emails, personal emails. It's a mix of direct messaging, social media marketing, video marketing, audio snips, event marketing, all of these combined so that you have a layered approach to your reaching your database. No matter what any of us do, right, in terms of marketing, by and large, looking at across the country, 80% of our business will come from our sphere of influence, right? Mm-hmm. And if that's true, then we have to say, what am I doing today to make sure that I don't lose control of that to Zillow over the next 5 years? And how do I grow that database? Here, one thing to think about when I'm coaching agents is my first question will be, how many people are in your database? And they'll say, let's say 150, 200. And I'll say, let me tell you how many transactions I think you did last year based on what you just told me. Mm-hmm. So if you said 150 people, I'd say you probably did 12 to 15 transactions on average. And 99 times out of 10, 100, I'm right. Because your database, you can think of it like the engine under the hood of your business. And some people that have a 120 person database that tell me I want to close 30 transactions, I'll say that's like taking a Honda Civic and trying to do 120 miles an hour. It's not going to work. The engine under the hood of your business isn't big enough to support 30 transactions. You want to get to 30 transactions, we need to have you at a 300 person database, contacting them 20 to 50 times a year. Then I can get you. Guaranteed I can get you to your 30 transaction goal because I know it's a 10-to-1 ratio when I'm working my database correctly. But these are the things. We have to have the numbers behind this, and it's all a numbers game. We have to know how many people we need in our database, how often we're contacting them, and exactly what we're doing to contact them. That's the magic. That's the algorithm, right?
But Jim, I can totally hear from, based on even the conversations I've had in the last couple of weeks, like, but I can't do opens, or I don't have a sphere, right? Or I don't know the forms enough, or like, I don't have enough for marketing,
How do we do that? So
I know you won't put up with those answers. So I think there's a, I've had a slow start, just all of that, right?
Yeah. So my first answer is we all have to start from somewhere. And agents, when we're starting, I can take an agent that started cold. In fact, if I deposited an agent, one of my agents, and I took them and dropped them in your market, I would say I can take that agent from 0 to 22 transactions their first year. And here's exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it as a cold agent coming into the market cold by adopting this simple strategy. The simple strategy is I need to add one person a day to my database, one person every working day. Over the course of a working year, that's 220 people added to my database over the course of a working year. Okay. Taking out holidays and vacations and everything else. And then I'm applying the same strategy I'm talking about, where we're doing 20 to 50 contacts with them over the next year. So I'm staying in front of them and I'm highly likely to get referred if they have somebody refer to me. Now, somebody will say to me, okay, how am I going to meet that person? The average American has 27 conversations a day. 27. All I need to do out of the 27 conversations I'm having a day is to simply add on to that conversation. Hey, quick question. I'm putting together a little group of people that I send some information to about real estate from time to time. Could I add you to that little group? Would that be okay? And that's a simple, stupidly simple, easy thing to do, right? Now, when I'm doing these things, the key thing that agents just don't get in the habit of is actually taking that data and putting it into a CRM. But if you were working and you were going to let's say you're going to go to work for a Fortune 500 company and they're going to pay you $500,000 a year, which is what a lot of us want to make. We want to make $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year. They would require this of you. They wouldn't say it's optional for you to be adding people to your database every day. They would require it, right? It would be an absolute requirement. But beyond that simple thing, I do have 5 strategies I'm going to give to you guys today that can help you grow your database in a lot of different ways. So I'm happy to dive into that with you, James. But before I get there, I want to talk a little bit about a strategy that I use with my own agents called my 5x5 strategy. Yeah. So the 5x5 is this. The 5x5 is I deliver to my agents every Monday morning 5 different messages that they can use with their sphere of influence throughout the week in different formats. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So I give them a script, like here's the script that you can use this week to call people and talk to people. Here's a text message you could send to people, okay? Here's a personal email that you could send to people, individual people in your database. Here's an idea for a handwritten card I could send to my database. And then we always focus people on endorsements and giving people positive reviews is really an important factor as well in our review and recommendation society. So 5 different strategies, and I give them the model for that. And my message to everybody is, okay, you're gonna apply one of these 5 strategies every day for the next 5 days. So that's why we call it 5x5. So today it might be making the call. So I gave you the script to make the calls. Tomorrow it might be the text messages. The next day it might be, do those personal emails, or the next day it might be the handwritten cards. But the key is in consistency. Consistency is what will unlock your ability to have compound results. Where agents fall apart is a lack of consistency. And I always like to use the Jerry Seinfeld example. The Seinfeld example, if you've read his book, is this. Everybody asks Seinfeld, how'd you do it? How'd you create so much success in your life? He says, it's very simple. I write 1 joke a day, and on the top above his computer, he has a calendar, and he has above it, he puts a red X when he writes a joke. And his goal is to have an unbroken chain for the whole month. Like every day he's written 1 joke, and that's his simple success formula. And for all of us, we can say, am I applying what I'm supposed to be doing? And did I add a person to my database? That could be your red X. Did I do the 5x5 today? That's my red X. Figure out what your red X is. Figure out what your key compound action event is every day, and commit yourself to having streaks of performance. And I'm going to give you, for this week, I'm going to give you what I actually delivered to my agents this week, okay, for scripting, just really quickly, because I want you to see how easy this is. So my calls to my database this week stemmed from Facebook and Instagram. And here's what I mean by that. All of us, this is the argument, James, you just mentioned, like, I don't have any friends. BS. If I go to your Facebook, you have no friends in Facebook? BS. If I go to Instagram, you have no friends in Instagram? BS. So I'm looking through my Facebook and Instagram feeds every morning like I do, and I'm having my coffee. As I'm looking for life change. I'm looking for people that have had a baby, people that have moved jobs, people that have opened businesses, people that are getting married, getting engaged, having births, everything that's happening in people's lives. People have graduations coming up. And I'm looking for life change. When I see life change, here's an opportunity to make a
But
phone
by the way, it
call.
could be as benign as like they bought a dog, right?
Right.
Their
yeah.
kid went off to college, right?
Right.
It's just change.
Just change of some kind, positive change. So when I see
Negative
that,
or negative,
or negative,
honestly.
could be a divorce or something. Divorce is a big one. And we have some funny things, James and I, about that, but we won't cover that today. So when we see that, that's an opportunity to make a phone call. A lot of us will just kind of default to having a comment. Boring. Everybody makes a comment. Who gives a crap? I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to make a call, and I'm going to say, "Hey, good morning. This is, Jim Remley. I just was going through my Facebook feed this morning. I saw you got a new dog. I thought I'd do something completely out of the blue and call you and say, congratulations, man. What made you get a dog, of all things?" So that would be an example of taking this Facebook, Instagram, basically CRM, and using that to come offline and having an actual real world conversation with somebody. Remember, every single agent, then I coach some of the most successful agents in the country, people in the top 250, top 1,000 agents in America. When I talk to them and I say, "Tell me about your last transaction," here's how they reference it. They'll say, "Jim, I just sold my friends a new house. I just listed my friend's house." They never refer to them as clients. Can you hear me again? I got muted there. So the top agents in America refer to their agents or their clients as friends. I want you to think about your database. Do you look at your database as friends? If you don't, it's because you are not elevating relationships from down here to up here. The reason why you're not doing it is because you're not having enough communication with them and building relationship. And I'll tell you somebody who's a master at this, and you're so blessed to have him, is James. James won me over because he's great at relationship building. This guy's a master relationship builder in his own right. Super master agent too, but that ability to build relationships from here to here is what will enable you to supercharge your business, because friends, guys, friends refer friends. Remember that. And if you say, "I'm not getting anything, I don't get anything on my sphere of influence, that's why I buy leads," I hear this all the time. Total crap. The reason why you're not getting leads out of your database is because they don't look at you at this higher elevated relationship level. They don't look at you as a friend. You know why they don't look at you as a friend? Because you're not treating them as a friend. You're not treating them in that same relationship level, right? So that was a simple conversation we could have. Second one is a text. Here's a great text to send everybody in your database. Pick out 5 or 10. Do it today. Tell me how it works. Tell James how it works. So you can say, "Hey, have you ever looked at what Zillow?"
I challenge, by the way, someone write this down or listen to the recording and do this, and let's hear how it goes.
I love it. So have you ever looked at what Zillow thinks your home is worth? Right? Question mark. Curious, as a realtor, do you think it's sort of close, wrong, or right on the money? I'm going to tell you right now, this has unlocked so many listings for my agents, my coaching students, because everyone will engage in the conversation. Everyone. They'll say, "Oh, I think it's way off. I think it's totally." And then the follow-up to this is you say, "You know what? I would love to do a quick CMA for you and confirm whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. Let's check it out." I mean, it's no charge. I'm not asking you to list your house. I'm curious myself now that you brought it up, right? So now we get into conversation with people about this. And I've got another technique a little bit. If we have time for it, I'm going to dive in, which is even better than this. So that's a quick text message to unlock, some opportunity. Third, I'm going to give it to you is your personal email for the week. Here it is. Very simple. You're just going to say, "Hey, good morning. This is your name, right? Hey, just joined," and you talk about something you just got involved with. So for me right now, I'm getting involved with scuba diving. I'm kind of passionate about it right now. I just got my NITROC certificate. It's exciting for me, going to Mexico to do some diving here in Cabo in October. So I'm super pumped about it. So I'm excited about it. So that would be something I might talk about in this personal email I'm sending out. So just got involved with, I just took a scuba diving class or whatever. Super excited about this because of an upcoming trip. But you could say, "Hey, I just got involved in an advocacy program. I just joined a club. I just got involved with this community organization." You name it, whatever it's something that's happening for you personally. "I'm excited about this because," fill in the blank. If you have any interest in checking it out, I have a website below and have an event coming up if you want to explore what's going on with it. So I've done that with my friends, and a lot of them are getting involved with scuba now too. So that, and by the way, when I do that, does that sound like I'm selling something, or does that sound like I'm reaching out as a friend? I'm reaching out as a friend. Notice with the first two, with the call, did I say anything about real estate? No. With this personal email, am I saying anything about real estate? No. We get in this mindset that we have to always be selling people and jamming real estate people down people's throats. That's not it. The key is building relationships with people and taking it to the next level. Then you got, the other things, handwritten cards and everything else. But that's just 3 little concepts that we've rolled out for our team this week. I do want to talk about for a second with your sphere of influence, though, the power of social media. And I just want to touch on this for a second. First question I have for you with your your sphere of influence. Here's a challenge for everybody this week. Print out your sphere of influence if you have one. Take it, you have it printed out, and right next to it, put 3 columns. Here's your 3 columns you're looking at: Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want you to ask yourself, am I connected with everybody in my sphere of influence on all 3 of these platforms? Okay. And if you're not connected, get connected. Okay. And here's the key with this. And this is something to, if you're going to write down any notes today, here's a note to take. On social media, visibility is more important than ability. Visibility is more important than ability. And here's what I want you to think about. All of us know an agent who sucks in your community. Am I right? Give me a hands up, hand clap. Everybody has an agent who sucks in your community, but they're super present on social media and they're right now crushing it in the market and they're outperforming you and they suck. Why are they outperforming you? Because they're more visible than you are on social media. Visibility trumps ability, right? We can be this is the flip side of this. We can be the best agent out there. We can have the highest moral standards, the highest ethics. We could be the highest trained. We could deliver the most amazing raving fan level service. We could have this incredible marketing plan, but nobody's doing business with us, or very few, because what? We're not visible. Social media is not an option. It is not optional. It is absolutely fundamentally critical to your business now. So all of us have to be engaged with this. And you can't say, I'm not into social media. Too bad. When you signed up to be a realtor, guess what, buddy? You were in the social media business. Suck it up, buttercup. It's time to get on board and start working social media, right? So what does that mean? It means that I'm doing at least 5 posts a week, minimum 1 a day. I'm doing a post. I'm doing 1 to 2 videos a week, minimum. And I'm doing 1 to 2 stories a week, minimum. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, Jim, I don't want to do video. You're going to have to do video. Bottom line. So with video, here's the thing to remember. 96% of agents in this market today, even today, 96% of agents refuse to do video. They're just like, I'm not going to do it. You look in your marketplace, this is going to be true. 96% of agents refuse to do video. I don't like how I sound. I don't like how I look. Who cares? Doesn't matter. So when you do video, I want you to think about the inverse of that statistic. That means you're beating instantly. 96% of your competition is getting pushed aside. You're automatically elevated yourself to the top 4% because you're willing to do video consistently, right? And here's the magic of video. You don't have to be perfect. People actually prefer it when you screw up. People prefer the ums and the uhs and the flubs. They actually like that. The no edit video is king right now, right? It's not about perfection. It's about visibility, right? And authenticity and being a real person and not having perfection. That's what it's all about. So here is a really good way to get really good at video really fast. You ready for it? Here it is. Super simple. It's not, and by the way, it's not about what kind of phone you have and the devices you have and the ring lights and all that crap. No, all that stuff helps, but it's not what's going to make you better. What's going to make you better is doing exactly what I'm going to give you right now. Every single day going forward, starting today, every single day, I'm going to record 1 video. Every single day, I'm going to record 1 video, 60 seconds or less. That's my goal every day. Now, I don't have to publish it. I'm okay with you not publishing it, but every day I'm shooting a video. Okay, got it? And then every week I'm pushing 1 of those, 2 of those 5 videos are going to go out. So 2 of the 5 are going to go out. You can get rid of 3. You can say, oh, I'm going to flush. These are terrible. I can't put these out. But 2 of the 5 I'm going to use, right? And guess what? I guarantee you in the next 30 days, as you record 30 different videos, you're going to get exponentially better by next month at this same time. You will be so much better. And guess what? You'll probably start investing in a little bit of equipment. You'll get yourself a little mic. You might get yourself this little, mic here. You might get yourself a little 4K camera like I'm using right now, but you don't have to start with that. In fact, my phone actually shoots the best video. I use my phone all the time. And I have a little mic that cost me $50 from Best Buy, and that's it. 90% of my videos are shot on that, right? So that's a little message on the power of social media and visibility. So super simple, right?
Jim, this is, we got people blowing us up, right, with questions. And I know April's our moderator on both Facebook as well as Zoom. April, what questions do you have out there?
Hey, awesome. So yeah, we have tons of questions. We have a question right now coming from Rick. He asked about agents have questions about Zillow's acquisition of Showing Time. Do your agents use it, or is there a good alternative now?
My agents don't use it in my market. I do have agents across the country that use it in other markets where I coach. I'm not really worried about Showing Time. I don't think that's going to be a massive. I wouldn't not use it because Zillow bought it necessarily. There are other alternatives. I'll send you a couple to James, and I have a couple alternatives. I don't have them off the top of my tongue here, but I'll give them to James. Okay. So it's a great question though.
How about Glide? Any opinions on Glide just while you're at it?
No, I'm not familiar with Glide.
Yeah, they just purchased that. So yeah.
I have another question from Patsy. How long should videos run, in your opinion?
The time for video, great question. So I'm gonna take a little tangent here, but I'm gonna answer this question by giving you another answer here. So I just interviewed this gal on my podcast, Elisa Glutz, Glutz. If you check out the E-Real Estate Coach podcast, you can listen to it. So Elisa is she's an expert in credit. She's a lender. She's fantastic. Great interview. But at the end of the interview, about the last half of this interview, we got to talking about TikTok. And she went on TikTok a year ago with 0 followers, right? And today she has 420,000 followers on TikTok. And I said, so what are you doing, dancing? And then she said, no. She goes, I do a little dancing. but by and large, what she's still doing is she's doing one video a day, and it's all about credit. And it's she uses some of the editing tools and has fun with it. But she says, you got to think about not TikTok being for kids, but TikTok is really a short form video platform. And the beauty of TikTok is it's under a minute. Every video is under a minute. You can do even 15 seconds, but every video is under a minute. And then what she can do is share that to Facebook and share that to Instagram. So I would say long form videos are great, but for the vast majority of us, when we're shooting this one video a day, under a minute is the sweet spot. And I'd highly recommend a lot of you, especially that want to reach the millennial audience, which is 52% of our buyers and sellers today, get on TikTok. Beat the crowd to TikTok. A lot of people are there, but a lot of people aren't. You can get ahead of your competition by getting on TikTok.
Jim, we already have a response from Ellen out in Palm Desert. I just posted on Facebook about Zillow's valuation and already received a response.
Go ahead. I don't know what.
Yeah,
Bam,
boom is right, guys. Boom is right. So, so yeah. Any other questions, April?
Yes, 2 more. So I have one from Facebook about omnipresence and wondering what is your best suggestion of, there's so many platforms out there. Everyone's feeling the need to get pulled everywhere. What is your best suggestion that agents should be doing right now? Is it focusing on one platform or just trying to be everywhere?
Great question. You can't be everywhere. So, and I get that. And I just asked the same exact question I had for James Rembrandt, who runs Digital Natives. He's called the Zillow Killer. Great interview I just did with him. And I asked him the same question, and one of the top guys in the country when it comes to technology. His suggestion, which I believe in 100%, is you want to master 1 or 2 platforms. So figure out the 1 or 2 platforms you want to really master. Doesn't mean you won't have a presence maybe in the other ones, but when we're talking about posting daily and really understanding the platform at a deep level, pick a couple, and then everything else is secondary to that. So my top 3 that I use is Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I just got on TikTok, so check me out on TikTok, but it's not my focus, right? My focus is on where I think my core audience is. And that's the question mark. Ask yourself, where is your audience? So if you're a younger agent and you're like a millennial agent and you're trying to, look at the millennial audience, it might be that you want to go TikTok, Instagram, right? If it's more of a baby boomer audience that you're focused on, it might be Facebook, Instagram, right? So think about that, and one to two platforms.
So Jim, oh my gosh. So would you repeat the text question, right? April, would you type it in to both Facebook and Zoom? Guys, I'm going to have you cut and paste, okay? And send this out to your, to your client send this out to a handful of clients, right? Right, Jim?
Yeah, I do 5 to 10 a day. You're going to be surprised that almost everybody's going to respond. So you're going to get into a conversation. So
oh my gosh, you're going to actually have to talk to clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't do like 100. I wouldn't do like a blast. It'd be 5 to 10 a day. And the actual is, have you ever looked, this is the text. Have you ever looked at what Zillow thinks your home is worth? ? Curious as a realtor, do you think it's sort of close, wrong, or right on the money? ? That's it. That's magic.
Okay, so we're going to type that in, even if we have to type it in. I mean, April, knowing you probably got it, but if you have to play it back or whatever, or let us know, we can repeat it. But here's the thing. I'm going to challenge everyone to just send this out to 5 to 10, right? And let this roll, right? Let this roll. And then it's just kind of that power of, because Jim, what you're reminding us is that we're in the relationship business, right?
Absolutely.
So we're not in the technology business, right?
Right.
And we're not in the working with people we don't know business, right? We're in the relationship business, right?
Absolutely.
So we can actually just be humans and be in relationship with people, right? And get to know them and care about them, right? And show compassion for them and contribute to their lives. And then we make an amazing living.
Absolutely.
Right? So go ahead.
No, and it's interesting because there's an article written by the editor of Wired magazine that I read a few years ago. And you might have seen it because it's become such a popular article. And he talked about this power of 1,000 super fans or 1,000 raving fans is enough for almost anybody, in any industry to make an amazing living, right? So you think about a doctor with 1,000 really high quality patients. You think about a musician who's got 1,000 fans. You think about a realtor, an attorney. You think about an accountant. So that's a kind of a magic line in the sand for all of us, is to say, hey, if I really want to get to I'm talking about the top 0.5% of agents in the country. Could I get in my career, like over the next 5 years, can I get to 1,000 people that really trust me? And that's the ultimate thing is, do they trust me? Do they have do they think I'm the advisor? I'm the guy that they're looking to. And I'm just going to park here for just a second, because it's, everybody knows who David Ramsey is, right? We've all heard Dave Ramsey. Yeah. I mean, this guy has like shot through the roof over the last 3 years. 4 or 5 years ago, you said, who's Dave Ramsey? Be like, I don't know. Is that your next door neighbor? I don't know who Dave Ramsey is. Now Dave Ramsey's like freaking everywhere, right? Now, first of all, and Dave Ramsey last year made $40 million on real estate referrals and growing. This year will be a lot more. So what Dave Ramsey's doing is he's taking the authority position in the marketplace. And again, you got to ask yourself, are my clients looking at Dave Ramsey as the authority in real estate, or are they looking at me as the authority in real estate? When they look at Dave Ramsey as the authority in real estate, that means that he gets the referral and he sends it to some agent in the community and gets a referral out of it. We have to take the authority position. How do you take the authority position with your own client base? Is you've got to be talking about the market and be the preeminent expert in the market. That means every month I'm putting out market stats. That means I'm doing video around the market and what's happening. That means I'm doing community videos and talking about what's happening in these individual communities. Everybody's got to look at me and say, man, she knows her numbers like the cold. Like, she knows this market individually. That's where you have an advantage over somewhere like Ramsey. Is that I think Dave Ramsey is great too, but he's speaking at a national scale. You're speaking at a local, hyper local scale, and that's where you can win. You can also win against Zillow and Realtor.com because you're hyper local. Hyper local is key.
Okay, so there's much more to your highlights that you provided, and I'm going to go straight to that because I think it's fascinating what you did on the for sale by owner stuff when you did that 150 sales in 12 months.
Yeah,
and I think it's applicable to being the expert, right? Just in general, just that kind of conceptual being the expert. And it's just a reminder to us, right? And I'm just kind of setting this up for the group. It's a reminder to us that we have all this available to us and all we have to do is just do it. And what's interesting, and this is kind of the global thing, is that we have to actually believe we're enough. we're enough to be the expert, right? We're actually enough to be the trusted expert. We're enough to literally send that text out about Zillow. And if we get into a dialogue, we're going to figure it out. Guys, you can Google the answer. Like you could literally, I mean, there's literally a group of people not sending that text right now because they're like, well, but I don't know, like I don't know, maybe it is accurate, right? Like, but I could guarantee you there's like so many articles right now about how it's not accurate and the algorithms failed and they're willing to pay $1 million to the person that can fix it, right? Because that, by the way, article is out there, right? So I want to back up. And guys, I'm telling you, FSBO's not over. It's not dead, especially in a really, really great market where people think that the house is going to be sold in one day, right? Unpack it. I'm going to give you my hard stop. I got 14 minutes and one more question. And you know what? I don't even have 14 minutes because I got longer than that. We don't have any more rules, right? I'm working now for Windermere Homes and Estates, right? We don't even have any rules. So you can just pontificate, right? But I want these people in this room to hear about what you did on FSBO. And by the way, all the people out there that are saying FSBO, no way, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work with people that don't want to work with me. Check this out.
Yeah, so I built a lot of my business around the FSBO market, and at any given time in history, when you look at FSBOs, everybody says this is the wrong time to call FSBOs. I don't care what part of the market you're in. If it's a down market, wrong time to call FSBOs. Up market, wrong time to call FSBOs. You know, medium market, wrong time to call. Let me tell you something. There's always going to be for sale by owners, and right now, latest study shows from NAR that it's 92% of for sale by owners who enter the market will end up working with the realtor. So 92%. So when you look at that number and you say, oh, there's a new FSBO in my market, you need to say to yourself as you're driving by that sign or you see that, oh, that means that nine times out of 10, 90% chance, 92% chance that property is going to be listed in the next 4 to 6 weeks. The question is, will it be listed with you or your competitor? If you never make contact, it will never be you, right? So if you want to have a shot at winning, that means you got to make contact, right? And the biggest challenge that agents have is, oh my gosh, every time I've tried to call for sale by owner, I just get shut down, right? They just like hang up on me. They won't have a conversation with me. You know, they won't engage with me. And I get it. It's competitive out there. I totally understand. Remember, it always boils down to relationship. And the mistake that most agents make with for sale by owners is that they're trying to close these people on the first call. They're never going to close on the first call. You're trying to close them on the first meeting. They're never going to close on the first meeting. So this is a long-term relationship. The average is that it's a 4 to 6 week frustration period. Then they list. That's it. But they list with, here's the key, guys. They list 70% of the time with the first person who contacts them after they make the decision to sell. Okay. So what's my script? When I call them for the first time, I'm going to say, hey, Jim Remley, ABC Real Estate. Hey, I noticed as I was driving to work this morning, you got your property for sale. And I just want to say, first of all, I respect your decision to sell on your own. Write this down if you're taking a note. I respect your decision to sell on your own. And I'm not calling to list your house. Promise you, I'm not calling to list your house. Okay. I'm not one of those realtors. Okay. Did you catch that? Not calling to list your house, respect your decision to sell on your own. But I do have a quick question, and I just want to be completely transparent. If I have a buyer, is there any chance I could show your house? Because there's a ton of buyers out there in the market.
And no inventory.
No inventory. So they're going to say, yes, but, 9 times, yes, but I'm not paying a fee. Or yes, but I'm only going to pay you 0.5%. Or yes, but I'm only going to pay 1%. Or yes, but my uncle's going to list the property if I list. Or yes, but whatever. So when I hear the yes, but, this is where a lot of agents fall apart. They're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't work with you. Goodbye. And like, they're done. So you can't do that. What you have to do is you have to say, oh, totally understand. I'm not asking you to pay a fee. I'm totally respect the fact that you want to list with your uncle. Totally respect the fact that, whatever they said. At this point, you're going by owner, and I respect that. As I said, I just want to see if there's a chance I can come by, see what you have for 5 or 10 minutes, and then see if one of my buyers will plug into it. We're working with a handful of buyers that are interested in your neighborhood right now, and I just want to see if maybe one of them will plug in. Would you be cool with me taking a quick 5-minute walkthrough? It's never 5 minutes, but that's what my script is. It's always going to be an hour long once I get there. But if I can, my experience with using that script, that simple script, and I've got 10 variations of that script basically on my e-real estate coaching platform, which I have a whole FSBO starter kit for free if you want to check it out. But when I make that and I have that conversation, 80% of the time I get a yes. Now it could be because I'm confident in the way I present. I'm not acting like I'm reading a script. I'm really coming across really genuinely, really authentically. Okay. Now I'm going to take you to two steps beyond that really, really quickly. And I know we're out of time, but I'm going to make this happen.
No, we're not out of time.
We're not. Okay. So let's assume that some of you have a team, or let's assume that some of you are so busy. You say, Jim, I'd love to implement strategy. I just don't have time, buddy. I'm like slammed. I'm so busy with stuff right now, but you want more listings. Here's what you could do. You could offload this to somebody that is what I'm going to tell you next. You can offload to a college student. You can offload to a high school student in your house, right? Which for tax reasons, we should be employing anyway. We could offload it to an assistant or a team member. Here's what you do. You can use the same scripting I'm giving you, but in a text. And I've developed 10 cold texting strategies for FSBOs. That's crushing right now. We had one of our students do 87 texts to FSBOs using my strategy. 87 texts went out. They got 10 responses. 5 of them resulted in meetings, actual listing presentation, like meetings. She took 3 listings and got 2 referrals to other business. That's from 87 texts. Okay. Now that sounds like 87 texts sounds like a lot. Really? For 5 pieces of business, that sounds like a lot? Or would you rather invest $10,000 with Zillow to get that? You tell me whichever path you would like to take. Now, let me give you a flip of that, which goes even deeper than that, which is even more powerful than that. Imagine that I take this same text, but now instead of using a text, I shoot a video text, 10 seconds long, super quick message. Hey, I drove by your house this morning, saw the sign. I'm a realtor in the market. Quick question. Would it be okay if I just take a quick walk through your house just in case it might fit one of my buyers? Something super, super, super fast and simple. 10 seconds or less, I'm recording this video. Okay, now you've stored that video on your phone so that you as an agent, if you're a solo agent, can just power that out. Anytime you drive by a FSBO, boom,
or you
boom,
can
boom,
save it on BombBomb, but you can also just do a video right through your phone. Just hit record. Yeah.
Right. Now, you could do it yourself. If you're on a team and you have an assistant, imagine that assistant's now mining on the Red X or one of these other platforms that deliver FSBOs to you every morning. She gets 10 FSBOs every morning, and she's now sending, instead of calling, she's sending the video message that you've recorded to all 10. Do you think over the course of a year, you're going to pick up 1 listing? Guarantee it. You're going to pick up 5, 10, 15 listings as a result. And that's just the starting point. When I get into the house and I have conversation with those folks, what's that conversation look like? I'm not trying to close, first of all. Get that out of your head. You're never closing on the first appointment. What I'm doing is I walk up to the house, I'm taking notes, I'm asking why questions. Hey, why are you selling? What have you done since you've lived in the house? What
refrigerator stay?
Refrigerator stay, yeah. All those, I'm taking notes. Hey, and let me ask you a question. I know I promised you I wasn't going to ask you to list the house, and I'm not. I'm going to keep this in mind for any of my buyers, I promise. But a quick question, is it, if you're not successful on your own, is at any point do you think you might work with a realtor? And they're going to say, well, if I don't sell it in the next couple of weeks, I might. If I don't sell it in the next month, I might. I'll say, well, great. If you get to that point, I would love to be somebody you interview. Maybe give me a shot at, the title if you get to that point. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to check back with you week to week just to see if it's still available. You cool with that? They're like, yes. Now I'm going to be touching base with them every week, and we'll be adding value to the relationship. And there's a lot of different ways to add value to the relationship.
That's being an expert.
Yeah, that's being the expert. And then you're going to be surprised. What I'm doing, again, is starting from cold start to elevating the relationship till they feel like I'm a trusted advisor. That's who they're going to work with, right? That's who they're going to choose. And there's a lot of techniques around that. But for me, I listed hundreds and hundreds of FSBOs using that simple strategy. And it, every market, everybody says, it's so super competitive, I can't do that here. Really? Because somebody in your market's doing it and somebody in your market's winning. Right? You can do it if you just make the choice to do it. But James, I want to give you an idea that's absolutely crushing before we end this call. I want to give it to you guys. And I just interviewed in my own company. I hired a gal who's also a certified ninja coach, Shelly Culbertson. Interviewed her on my podcast recently. Fantastic. She shared this idea, and then I got another twist on this idea. And the guy that I talked to after Shelly's interview first of all, she's got 13 deals in escrow right now. 9 of them are going to came from this technique I'm going to share with you right now.
Okay, we're all ears. We are right now. We're full on all ears.
Okay, and then the other guy interviewed $11 million in his first quarter from this technique I'm going to share with you right now. So here's the technique: unsolicited CMAs for your sphere of influence. offering unsolicited CMAs to your sphere of influence. Here's the concept. You get up in the morning and you say, I'm going to choose somebody in my database that I know is a homeowner.
So you have to get up.
You got to get up. Yeah.
Okay.
Earlier the better. I'm up at 5. I know James up early too. So get earlier the better. But I'm going to choose somebody. And I'm going to choose somebody in my database that owns a home. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to Google. And I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to open up BombBomb if I'm using BombBomb, or Zoom if I'm using Zoom. I'm going to record this session, but I'm going to start with Google Earth. Hopefully you guys got Google Earth downloaded. Type in the address. It's going to zoom as I'm recording into the address of the client's home. And as that's happening, I'm going to say, hey guys, I was just thinking about you guys this morning, and I'm doing something fun for all my friends. I'm updating everybody on what their home value is. We've had such a crazy market over the last 12 months. I just want to give everybody an update on their home equity. I know you're probably not interested in selling at this point, but it's just fun for me as a realtor to look at what's happening for everybody. So I decided to do your house today. So now you're going to have their attention because you went from Google Earth, you're zooming in as you're doing this voiceover. Now you're going to have you're going to share the next part, which is your CMA. You'll have done a CMA. Now, how do you do the CMA? You guys all have CMA programs. We use Cloud CMA. It's a great one. We also use in our office, and all you have access to this for free. NARRPR.com can give you an 80-page report in like 5 minutes on any house, really down and dirty. So really, and I know you guys at Windermere have your own CMA platforms as well. So now I'm going to go through the CMA, and as I'm talking, I'm going to say, so this is what's happening in your neighborhood. Here's the solds, here's the actives. Now, just keep in mind, I haven't been in your house recently, so this is going to be like within probably 5% of value. Okay. And then the last page that you bring up is a settlement statement. Now, a lot of you have access to this through your title companies where you can do an automated seller statement. And then there's, at the bottom, it'll have a net. Now you can say, now guys, this is based on my estimated value, and I don't know your mortgage, so we didn't take your mortgage off this. So keep that in mind, but average costs, and of course you're plugging your commissions and everything, average costs and settlement costs. Here's what you'd be looking at. Listen, if you want me to refine this for you guys and come out and just give you an actual real world kind of really hardcore evaluation, I'm happy to do it. Get it really close beyond the 5%. And then again, if you know of anybody thinking about buying or selling, I'd love your referral. If you know somebody that would like to get their valuation done, let me know. I'm happy to do it virtually as well. Just keep me in mind, guys. Have a great day. Who's the expert now? You're the expert, right? You own this. And this, just imagine you're doing one a day. It's just a part of what you do every morning. You got 500 people in your database. You can never stop this. This could just be going because there's 220 working days in the year, right? You might have to do 2 a day to actually hit the goal to hit your whole database, right?
So you're suggesting have a structure.
The structure.
To your day.
Yeah. Yep. And this is just part of the structure.
Right. Oh man, there's so much more there. And again, we're back to expert, right? There's so many unique ways that we can become expert without being like, I was talking the other day about how a lot of us don't want to be known as a realtor, right? I was saying like, I just want to go to a party and not have to talk about real estate, right? That kind of mentality. And yet that's what we do, right? And we should be proud of that. And then again, everyone's surfing houses, right? Even people that just bought a house are looking at houses. They still are getting those Redfin and those Zillow searches hitting them over the head, right? They're looking for a house that they moved to when they just bought a house, right? And so so this unsolicited CMA thing is huge, right? Just be in front of or talking with someone that wants to buy or sell, or maybe one day we'll buy or sell. All of a sudden, voila, you're doing business, right? The tips and tricks we've heard today, you don't have to have a gigantic sphere, right? You can just be in front of or talk to people as an expert, right? Believing you're enough, right? And you got to do that work internally. Realize, you know what? If I don't have the answer, I'll find it, right? I am enough. I'm in this business. And the last thing I want to do is send out a card to all my, friends and family and say, oops, I failed. I'm out of real estate. Right. And yet, right, there's that group of people, and they exist in every company, where we've created our own glass ceiling, right? That it's like, you know what, I'm going to start, and maybe I'm lucky, I'll do 2 deals this year. Right. And guess what? If you said, maybe if I'm lucky, I'm going to do two deals this year, how many deals are you going to do this year? Right. Not 13. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's that mind share, right?
Yeah.
And so, Jim, there is so much more. Of course, this is for our first show. The level of questions we received is awesome. It's powerful. Obviously, there's more questions even coming in. And actually, Nancy mentioned, and don't forget, your sphere knows people, and they might want to buy or sell. they might want to buy or sell, and the people they know. Set yourself as the expert so they refer those people to you, right? And it's
Interesting study from Columbia University around that topic really quickly. 11% of the people within your database will know somebody that's moving this year. So it's a really powerful stat. Every single person in your database basically then knows, but the average American knows 290 people. You apply the 11% factor, that 11% of that group is moving every year. That's about 30 people that everybody in your database knows that's going to be moving. Maybe not all of them homeowners, but here's a great question to ask yourself. If we know that everybody in your database knows 30 people roughly that's going to move, cut it in half and say 15 of them are homeowners or could be homeowners. Then cut it in half again and cut it in half again and say we're down to like 3 people. Okay. We're down to almost nothing. Are you receiving 3 referrals for every single person in your database? If the answer is no, it's not because they don't know people that aren't moving. It's because they're not referring you to people that are moving. And the reason that's not happening is because we're failing them. They're not failing us, right? So right along those same lines.
Jim, I can actually hear there's some people that are like, but I don't like math. Because you just threw math at us, right? Like, so
Right.
it's like, well, hold on, I don't like math, right? And you know what? My clients don't like math either. So don't tell them to talk to me about math. But the point is, it's that whole lead versus lag effect, right? The lead activities. Don't worry about the result right now. Just be in relationship, right? Pick your poison, be in relationship. Actually, relationship is number 1 on marketing, right, Stephen? Right? Like, by the way, Stephen are out in Palm Desert. He's like, yeah, he's raising. It's all about relationship. How can we effectively be in relationship, right? Stop saying you're a realtor and just be in relationship if that's what you want to do, right? And guess what? You're going to sell a house because you are actively involved in relationship, right? So how do we get a hold of you? How do we hear about more from you? I know you already mentioned your website, but Yeah.
So first of all, I would love to work with any of you that are interested in coaching. We have one of the most affordable coaching platforms in the country, literally less than a cup of coffee a day to get coached through our platform. So it is, and you get the first 2 weeks for free. So any of you that just want to come in, take a test drive and see if it's working for you, we deliver 150 live coaching sessions like the one you're experiencing right now. We do one of these every Monday morning, just like this. We do a Wednesday workshop where we're talking about technology and marketing aspects. We bring in top experts from around the country where we dive in deep into tech and marketing and the best of the best ideas. On Fridays, we do a mastermind session as well. And then we have a 16-week intensive coaching boot camp for you so that every single day for 16 weeks straight, we walk you through every aspect of lead generation, listing presentations, raising your game at every level to really supercharge your business. And with that, we give you hundreds of downloads from listing presentations, scripting, letters, emails, text, drip systems, you name it, it's in there. But the first 2 weeks is free. And then if you want to plug in, just hop over to erealestatecoach.com, jump in there, check it out. We'd love to have you join. If you want to see, you just want to hop on and connect with me on social, and you can find me everywhere just search for eReal Estate Coach on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. And I think that's it.
Yeah, Jim, it's just been absolutely a privilege to have you on the show, our first show, right? And I'll tell you, we had 25% of the company join us through Facebook and Zoom on the first show. Seriously.
Nice. Love
with
it.
Questions, right? There's just you've provided so much value. Guys, I got his cell number. If you got questions, let me know, right? We'll hit him up that way. I'm sure we can bring Jim out. Like I said, I just put him in front of a camera, right? And then it's just like away he goes. And then, like show number 1 in the can, we're done. So thanks so much for joining us today, Jim. We will definitely be posting the scripts after here and look to actually employ some of those ideas in our office meetings moving forward. Thanks to everyone in this company who joined us today. We are just shy of 500 agents, almost just under $2 billion in volume per year. Over 2,500 transactions per year. Obviously, a large group of offices doing a heck of a lot of business. Gosh, guys, thanks so much. It's a privilege to be a part of this team, and Jim, just to have you be able to show you off, right?
My pleasure.
Like, this is totally awesome. Appreciate you joining us, and everyone have a wonderful weekend. Remember, if you need a raise, sell a house.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.